Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio, and this is Echoes of the News. And I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines from the past. On this day, the 2nd of October 1187, Saladin the Sultan captured Jerusalem, ending 88 years of occupation by the Franks. This would be the first time in the history of the world that an Eastern power defeated a Western power. But as history of warfare and politics has remembered, this would most certainly not be the last time. Continuing on this date, the 2nd of October 1608, the Dutch lensmaker Hans Lippershey demonstrated the first prototype of a telescope. This would be regarded as one of the most significant achievements of the Renaissance period, wherein the first prototype of a telescope was demonstrated. This would be also regarded as one of the earliest scientific achievements in the history of the Renaissance period, and of course, the history of scientific advancement. Moving forward, in 1901, the Royal Navy launched its first ever submarine at Barrow. There were five of these prototypes, including this one built by the Vickers Company, and they were designed to hold a capacity or to have the capacity of at least six individuals operating the vessel. This would pave the way for not just the advancement of submarine technology in naval warfare, but submarine technology as a whole. Submarines today are used for more than just warfare. They are used for excavations, they are used for tracing and recording marine biological life. And so the development of the submarine and the invention of the submarine is one of the most significant scientific achievements of the early half of the 20th century. Continuing on this date, in 1935, Abyssinia was invaded by Mussolini's Italy. Border towns were pounded by Italian bombers, and this would begin Italy's campaign for colonizing what is now known as Ethiopia. This would be one of the most tense political and military events that would lead up to the beginning of the Second World War. And in 1950, on this date, the 2nd of October, Peanuts, drawn by Charles M. Schulz, was launched as a comic strip. Peanuts, consisting of two of its most iconic characters, Charlie Brown and Snoopy, has become, to this date, one of the most iconic comic strips in the history of print media, and it has maintained a fan following since its first release. I must confess, I myself am a Snoopy and Charlie Brown fan. Now we move on to the next segment of our show where we recount the historical births and deaths of famous figures from human history. On this date, in 1452, Richard III, King of England, known for his skillful leadership, was born. He is also suspected of the murder of Edward VI and his brother. Moving forward, in 1869, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, leader of the civil rights movement in India and leader of the independence movement in India, was born. He, through peaceful means, brought an end to the British Raj or the British colonial rule, and in doing so, set an example for all those who wish to achieve justice to do so through non violent means. Gandhi was born on this day in 1869. And unfortunately, on this day in 322 BC, the father of modern and general Western philosophy, Aristotle, died after prolonged illness. And on this unfortunate note, we conclude today's headlines. This was Historian Radio. and you were watching and listening to Echoes of the News. And I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these were today's headlines as history first heard them. Good night.